What is good, everybody? Welcome back for another Kagurabachi chapter breakdown. And today we're looking at chapter 57. What a hell of a chapter. I'm definitely surprised as to where things are going. I was not expecting really any of this. But yeah, before we get into everything, I just want to say make sure you guys support the official release, either in physical form or through the Shonen Jump app. The first English volume of Kagurabachi was just released, so head to your nearest Barnes & Nobles or Amazon or wherever you typically go to pick one up. I've already got my copy. It's pretty great. This one is going to cover chapters 1 through 8, so if you want to catch up to the series and catch up on my new videos, start there. I think the first volume is a pretty good representation of the series and what it kind of starts to offer. But yeah. Alright, so let's get into it. This week we're looking at chapter 57, titled Collapse, and it opens up with us seeing one of the enchanted blades. This one is going to be Kume Yuri, which belongs to our boy Yoji, who's all the way back at the temple with Samura and the others. And we see the blade is floating by the assist of Hairu's ability, Blood Crane, right above the same building or theater that Shiro and Hairu had their final fight at. And to be honest, I honestly thought we were done with this fight or this setting, but things kind of take a different direction in the chapter. And if you guys have been keeping up with my weekly reviews, I've kind of been speculating that I believe Hairu is being groomed to be another wielder of the enchanted blades, which we actually get to see happen in this chapter. So I guess that does come true. It definitely happened a lot more quicker than I was expecting though. But before we get into the details of that, we cut back to the destroyed temple that is literally covered in branches, blood, and crow feathers. So what an odd mix. We then see Samura in a crowd of stunned fighters, where he yells, "Where did that tree bastard go?" I freaking love this guy. Every line he has is iconic. We then cut to seeing Tree Bastard, which I actually don't think we've gotten an official name drop for this guy yet, so I guess his unofficial name at the moment is just gonna be Tree Bastard, who appears to have already fled the temple at this point. But then he says, "It was so fast I couldn't even see it. I wonder if I'm in trouble now." So Samura and his blade Tobimune definitely have Hishaku shaking in their boots a little bit, so that's great. We then get one of the Makizumi thanking Samura for coming back to saving their lives. But he says, "Don't thank me, thank him," as he points to Hakuri, who we see is still coughing up blood just from transporting one enchanted blade to the battlefield. He then says, "I feel like I have one more left in me, so let me transport Kume Yuri for Yoji." Thankfully, one of the Makizumi stops him, stating, "You need immediate attention. You are hallucinating from the adrenaline. With how much blood you are losing, your system is being overtaxed." Samura then reminds the Makizumi that they are fired, as now that he has an enchanted blade, there's no need for him to have bodyguards, which I think is actually a funny gag, but I do think he's being very serious. We then get Samura giving a roll call to see if everyone is still alive, but we caught some strays. RIP to 22-year-old Ryo Fura. In the chapter, Deadass says that this was his first assignment as a guard, so on the first job. Done and clapped. So sorry, my guy. Just a quick aside, I do hold my manga to a pretty high standard, so I'm not really sure how I feel about this. On one hand, I'm very glad that the Makizumi didn't die in this arc. I'm definitely a fan of this group of characters. They're pretty cool so far. They passed the vibe checks. But I think we can afford to take some more losses. We can make it a little bit more darker. Maybe just losing one Makizumi would be fine with. But I don't know. It is what it is. We then cut back to Chihiro and Hairu, who Hairu then explains, "We failed. They got Tobimune." Not sure how he knows this, but he does. He seems very calm in this moment. Hairu then explains to Chihiro how even in school, history contextualizes the enchanted blade users as regarded as heroes. But Hairu questions this and explains to Chihiro, "You've seen the power of the Tsunuchi yourself." In this moment, he's referring to the very end of the last arc, where we have Hakuri's father using not even an unsheathed Tsunuchi, and the blade was strong enough to devastate a whole arena of people. Chihiro then thinks back to moments where his father clammed up when it came to explaining any type of background between the Tsunuchi and the wielder of the blade. So the wielder is definitely shrouded in mystery. He was featured a little bit in the end of the last arc, but we really didn't get much details from there. Chihiro then says, "So are you telling me the master of the Tsunuchi isn't a hero that needs to be protected?" Hairu then says, "You know what Samura said? The contracted sword bearer should die. That's why he made the pact with Yura 3 years ago." What is he talking about? Chihiro is having a hard time accepting this, just like I am. But before he can clear his thoughts, the enchanted blade Kume Yuri comes slamming down into the ground in front of them. With Chihiro caught off guard, Haru then frantically makes an attempt to attack, but the chapter ends with him lunging towards the enchanted blade and unsheathes it, unleashing Kumeyuri. Which, I'm not sure how he's even able to unsheath the blade, as again, in the last arc, Hakuri's father couldn't even take the blade out of the sheath. And especially with Yoji having, or being the current contract wielder of the blade, I'm not sure how any of this is possible, but maybe this has to do with the contract or pact that happened 3 years ago that Haru is referencing here. But yeah, I guess I'll have to wait for the next chapter to see what that's all referring to. I think that's going to be it for me from here, guys. I will see you guys next week. We do have a new chapter coming. And yeah, let me know your thoughts below and theories, and I'll see you for the next video.